So during the Hall of Fame game, we got to see our first look at Drew Lock in an NFL uniform, and well, at least statistics-wise, it was not very good. I mean, in 11 attempts, he had 7 completions, but just 34 yards, which is 3.1 yards per attempt, which is not great, but again, small sample size. But as I've said before, stats can only tell part of the story, and so let's just jump into the film study and see what actually happened and what went down. I actually thought Lock did a pretty good job of making reads this game. Granted, of course, you're not going to see too many clever disguises in a Hall of Fame game or in a preseason game in general, just because why would you give too much away? You're going to see a lot of basic coverages. You're not going to see teams really go all out to disguise too much, but even with that, I thought Lock made some pretty good reads. Like this plays an example of that. It's going to be a cover 1 hole, and to have Fant going to be running that route right there, so that's a great route to be to cover 1 hole, and that is where Lock is going to look to throw the ball to. And once you see after this ball is thrown, Fant definitely does have some separation here. I mean, for one thing, it was just a favorable matchup. You got Fant, who's a fast guy. That was kind of his selling point coming out of the draft, is his speed, and he's going up against a linebacker, so that's definitely a shot you want to take. And you know, with one safety deep, as long as you keep the ball close enough to the sideline, this could definitely be a catch if you place it in the right spot. However, this ball ends up falling incomplete. You know, listening to the broadcast, Chris Collinsworth kind of blamed Fant for that one. He kind of said, hey, he wasn't running his full speed at that point. And it definitely was sort of more of a timing issue than anything of Lock kind of overthrew it. You could blame Fant for not quite being up to his full speed just yet. Or you could blame Lock for not making a perfect throw. I mean, you can give some of the blame to both of them. You can give all of the blame to Fant, or you can give all of the blame to Lock. Personally, I think it's hard to say exactly who to blame goes on for that being an incomplete pass. However, I would actually say this is a good play from Lock as a whole, even if he did miss the throw. You know, missed throws are going to happen, especially if that probably is the weakness of Lock's game, is accuracy. And we all knew coming out of the draft, this guy is not exactly NFL ready, which is a large part of why he ended up going in the second round, and a large part of why the Broncos drafted him, even though they have Joe Flacco. But making some good reads is definitely a great way to prove that maybe you are NFL ready. You know, my prediction going into the season was that Flacco would end up starting the first 4 games or so, and then Lock would take over. I figured around there is probably where it would end up happening. But hey, making good reads can definitely be a good way to win that starting job. However, you also got to make some throws, and there's no doubt about it, Lock missed some throws. Like on this one, it's actually going to be a cover 0 here. So if you had a slant route or something over the middle, this would actually be a great time to throw that route. However, they don't really have a thing that Lock feels too comfortable with doing there, so instead he's going to try to hit that route right over there, and it could be a good way to get the first down because it is 3rd down and 7. So he is going to look there and try to make that throw. However, he just misses the throw, and honestly, that definitely could have been an interception. It's also possible he just wasn't on the same page with his receiver. It looks like that might have been the case, but to me, I actually think that was just a missed throw. Either way, that's not a good play from Lock. Lock has to be better at that. You know, the first play he made a good read, but this time that's just not a great read. There's also this one where it's going to be a cover 1 play. It's going to be cover 1 blitz. And yes, once again, it is man coverage. You saw a lot of man coverage in that game, which does make some sense. I mean, you want to see how these defensive backs can play in coverage. So why have them play zone, have them play man, and just sort of see how they match up against these guys. You'll play some zone too, just because you want to see how good of overall players are they. But you know, it's an exposition game. You're trying to see what you can get out of your players. But anyways, the Broncos have a go route towards the sidelines. A go route in the sideline is a great way to beat a cover 1, so that's the route they're going to look to throw to. And once again, Denver has a receiver that does get open. I mean, this is definitely a play that Lock can make, and if Lock hits this receiver in stride, it's a touchdown. However, one thing you'll notice just by looking at the ball is, again, this is kind of a laser. He didn't really lob it up too much, and that is something I talked about in my last video about Drew Lock when he just got drafted, is he will on occasion not put as much air under a ball as most quarterbacks would on certain throws. Like on this throw, you'd see a lot of guys put a lot more air into it, and as you see, once I press play again, it is going to fall incomplete. And you know, if he lobbed it up a little bit more, it might have allowed his receiver to adjust to the throw a little bit more and maybe make a catch. But to me, I mean, the thing I said in my last video, and the thing I feel here as well, is that if you make the throw, I don't care. You put air under it, you don't put air under it, as long as you make the throw, it doesn't matter. But he missed the throw, that's the real problem. There was no doubt about it. I mean, Lock just missed a decent amount of throws last game. You do have to be better at making some of those throws, and Lock definitely had some accuracy problems, and it really did show. Granted, again, small sample size, and he did end up completing 7 of his 11 passes, even though it didn't go for a ton of yards. But he definitely had his fair share of good plays as well, and one thing you'll see is something like this, where it's going to be a 3rd down and 4, and it's man coverage once again. Man coverage in a cover 1 situation, this now means that basically both of the sidelines are going to be open. There's not going to be anybody on either of the sidelines. So as you see, once this ball is snapped, this Lock is already running to the bottom half of the screen. He's going to look to see if that Bronco is open. He will make a throw if he feels like he has a receiver open, but he's not really going to try anything too dangerous here. He says, hey, I know it's man coverage, I only have to pick up 4 yards, so I'm just going to rush for the first down. Pretty easy. He does take a hit, probably should have slid in about a yard earlier, but also I hate that flag in my opinion. Football happens so quick. I know you want to protect the quarterbacks, but sometimes it is on the quarterback to make sure they protect themselves. Lock actually could have just ran out of bounds and probably done a better job protecting himself. That's what I would recommend, but I like the fact that Locke was able to use his legs to pick up some yards. You know, there's kind of the cliche of you shouldn't look to run, you should always look to throw, but in certain situations it actually can be a decent thing to look to run. If you know your opposing team is playing a lot of man coverage, well, why not roll out of the pocket and pick up 5 yards and pick up the first down if it's a 3rd down and 4? I don't think anyone's going to confuse Locke with Kyler Murray, but hey, this guy can use his legs, and he had some athletic plays in that game, and here's another one. It's going to be play action to the bottom half of the screen, and then Locke is going to pull over to the top half of the screen, and Denver also has a receiver running that route right there. And so, you know, this is a decent way to try to get a one-on-one matchup. Maybe you fool the Falcon who's in charge of covering that receiver to go to the bottom half of the screen a little bit more, give him some separation, and you can make a throw. Of course, the downside is then Locke is going to have to make a throw on the run, and as you see once this ball is snapped, Locke is going to be throwing this ball on the run. However, I have to say one thing about this, and it's that Locke didn't really have to make this throw on the run. I mean, if you look, nobody is around him. I mean, nobody at all. But he still decides that he's going to make a throw while on the run. And granted, he does make the throw, so, you know, all is well that ends well. But at the end of the day, you know, sometimes you will miss those throws if you try to throw on the run. This is kind of a rookie mistake, I feel like. You don't need to make that throw on the run. You can just, you know, take a step back, square your shoulders, and then make a throw. There's nobody near you. You don't even have to worry about getting hit, really. I know that probably seems like a nitpick, and I guess it kind of is. I mean, the receiver was open. He was able to make a catch, so really no harm, no foul. But, you know, why take the 95% chance of making that catch when you can instead take the 99% chance of him making that catch? It's all about improving your odds, and so that's what I would recommend from Locke. But again, that's definitely a nitpick, and I thought that was actually a good play from Locke. It shows he can throw on the run, even though it wasn't really necessary for him to try to throw on the run. And this next play was another very interesting one, where once again it's going to be play action, but take a look at what happens once this ball is snapped. So he's going to look downfield, but he doesn't like what he sees. Whatever's going on outside of the screen, it's just no one's open. He doesn't like what he sees, so he's not going to take a shot there. And one other thing worth mentioning is that Falcon right there is doing a very good job of winning his one-on-one matchup, and he is going to apply some pressure to Locke. Locke is not going to throw it deep. He doesn't like what he sees, so he's going to try to take a check down there and hit that halfback, but first he has to let the halfback get outside the pocket so he can hit him. So he's going to have to find a way to give him some time, because he doesn't have much time since there is going to be a Falcon fastly approaching him, but still get enough time where he can make a throw to his halfback to allow him to pick up some yards. But that's exactly what he's going to do. He runs up, he makes a good throw on the run, and hey, they pick up a few yards even though the play didn't work out. That's nothing major, but it's a play I like from Locke, you know? It's a solid play. Not every play you're going to end up scoring a touchdown. Not every play you're even going to get a first down. You have to just try to always make some positive yards every play. I think plays like that are actually really good. I think that kind of goes to show, hey, maybe he is a little more NFL ready than maybe we thought. It's another good example of just a good read by Locke. He didn't like what he saw deep, so he didn't take a shot deep. He instead just took a check down. That's something that not enough young quarterbacks do. That's something that Locke did there. Another play I liked from Locke was this one, where it's going to be a cover 3 zone, and what Denver is going to do is have their 2 receivers on the top half of the screen, both run those 2 routes right there, which are going over to the middle of the screen. And then they'll simply send a halfback out to the top half of the screen, and that's really what Locke is going to want to hit here. He's going to want to try to hit his halfback. You know, the whole idea behind the play is that the Falcons move over to the middle of the screen, since Denver does have 2 receivers going to the middle of the screen. Really, this play is better against man coverage, but it can still work in zone if the 2 Falcons do break over to the middle of the screen. And, you know, of course, the talent level is definitely going to be a little bit diluted in the Hall of Fame game, so you might have guys who will bite more on these types of fakes than maybe NFL players. But either way, take a look at what's going to happen. It's essentially just going to work out perfectly. I mean, Locke's halfback is totally open, and so Locke now has to try to make a throw. But this is not a perfect throw for Locke to make. He has to try to hit his halfback in stride, because there are Falcons that are still somewhat in the area, so he has to hit his halfback in a way where he can make the catch and continue running to the first down. And that's going to be exactly what he does, and he makes a perfect throw there. I mean, 49, you got to catch that one right there. I mean, if you want to make an NFL team, that's what you got to do. That was Dave Williams right there with 8 career carries. That was in his first season. Now he's entering his second season. So if you want more serious playing time, you're going to have to make catches like that. But, you know, for Locke, I mean, he made a perfect throw. He hit Williams exactly where you'd want to be hit, where you'd want the ball to be to you. And if he makes that catch, I mean, he could be gone. That could be a huge gain, not just the first down. So, really good play by Locke there, even though it didn't work out. And, you know, that is what you look for in the preseason, is basically how do you do as a player. Maybe not necessarily how do your stats do and how do you as a team do. If you're interested in watching Drew Lock play and seeing how he performs, we'll just watch how he actually throws the ball. I know the talent level isn't totally the same, but, you know, the talent level is still a lot better than it was in college. Even a lot of the guys that are going to get cut were still basically college all-stars for the most part. So, one last play, once again, it's going to be zone coverage, and Denver just has a simple curl route towards right there. That's all the play is. But what's fascinating about this is look at how far away that Falcons linebacker is going to have to move over to get to the bottom half of the screen to kind of get in the way of that Bronco. It is a throw that if he makes a great read on, drops back quickly, he could potentially even get a pick 6 if Locke tries it. However, if he goes slowly, this can be an easy completion. So, you know, Locke has to be careful, but it is a throw he can make. And once this ball is snapped and play develops, as you see, there's definitely some space here. Locke should definitely make this throw. And so Locke is going to make a very accurate throw, and it results in a catch. I mean, again, nothing crazy, nothing game-changing, but hey, now you've set up a 3rd down and short, so you've done your part on 2nd down and long. Those are types of plays you look for, especially in a young quarterback. Can he be a guy who can, make those types of plays? And at least right there, he absolutely could. I think Drew Lock's an interesting guy. I have made an entire video on him already, but with the preseason starting, I figured I'd make another one, sort of talk about him, especially because he probably is the biggest storyline after that game. So yeah, that's what I thought about Drew Lock, and I'd love to hear what you guys think, so let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching.